Hi there, my name is Ellen, and I will be completing this essay correction for you today. Let's take a look at what you have done here. We have a task one first up, and the topic is the preferred leisure activity of Australian children. Okay, you've got girls and boys and 5 different activities. All right, let's see what you did here. The bar chart provided demonstrates percentage. Is it percentage? Yes, okay. The bar chart provided demonstrates the percentage of boys and girls aged between 5 and 14 participating in 5 different recreation activities. It is obvious that the proportion of boys higher than the proportion of girls in all activities except for art and craft. Let's see, boys are red. Okay, well here they're together. They're the same percentage. But all right, we'll let that slide. Let's see. Whether for boys or for girls, watching TV or videos is the most popular. All the boys and girls stated that they would choose to participate in it in their spare time. This grammar is a little odd. Let's see. How did the task state it? Preferred. Okay. I would have done it a little differently. Let's see. So you said it's the most popular, and then you said here all the boys and girls stated, how about their preference for this activity? I would have preferred that. It feels better than they would choose to participate in it. Okay. It just felt a little awkward when you're talking about participating and watching TV. We just don't really use that terminology. Okay. So, how about all the boys and girls stated that, or rather, they stated their preference for this activity? Okay. The second most popular activity, attracting 80% of boys and 60% of girls, is playing electronic and computer games. In addition, bike riding is nearly as popular as playing electronic and computer games, with about 78% of boys and 59% of girls enjoying this. All right, let's see what you did here. Okay, so I see this and then I see this. That's fine. Okay. By contrast, only less than half the number of boys and girls takes part in skateboarding or rollerblading, which is relatively less popular among boys and girls. Okay, let's see. So if that's 80%, this is under 40. All right, that's good. In particular, let's see. Okay. In particular, arts and craft is the only leisure activity for which girls outnumber boys, whereas over 50% of girls choose to do it. Under 40% of boys prefer this. There are approximately twice as many female kids as male kids. All right, we're going to talk about this. Let me see one thing. Where are you getting that? I think I understand. Okay. Overall, the percentage between two genders, the percentages between the two genders varies a lot in different kinds of leisure activities, and irrespective of gender, watching TV or videos is the most typical leisure activity. Okay. Let me do a quick just scan here of your word. Okay, 217. That's fine. You might have gotten rid of maybe a few words, but by and large, I thought it was fine. Okay. So let me tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about this. First of all, I liked your grammar. I liked the variety you used in terms uh, of variety of structures. You used a variety of words, a variety of structures. That was good. Okay. And I would say that for the most part, your grammar was accurate. There were just a couple of places I picked up that it was a little awkward. And then there was one or two vocabulary things, like this thing here about participating in it. That was a little awkward. So the good thing is that you covered all the points. You used good grammar. You used good vocabulary. I saw a nice range. Okay, so all that was really good, and you covered the all the points here. Okay, so those are the good things. Now let's talk about what things could have been a little better. I think one thing that could have been a little better was your overview. You talked about the proportion of boys being higher for all activities except for art and craft. I didn't love this because you missed this. And I thought this was pretty important to leave out of your overview. Okay. Maybe you could have said that with the exception of watching TV and videos, the proportion of boys is higher than the proportion of girls in most activities. That for me would have been better. Okay. Now, you wouldn't be giving us data, you wouldn't be giving us too much information, but you would have us kind of like, okay, clearly we're going to see something important about this watching TV. And it is important because this is the one activity that boys and girls agree on, not just as a figure, but like 100%. Okay. So that for me really should have been featured prominently in your overview. So I would have done that. And then I would have said for most activities, because this way you allow this leeway for you to discuss arts and crafts, okay? So that's the first thing I would have changed in here. I already told you some of the language here. Now, one thing that I didn't love was all of your transition words, like all of these words for contrast and words for like these cohesive devices. I didn't love them. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so this was fine, this was fine. And then you have in addition, by contrast, in particular. I didn't love all of this. Especially, I didn't love in particular. That for me definitely felt like the wrong word. All right, in addition was okay. By contrast, I thought you used it well, but in particular was just used completely inappropriately here. I think what you could have used instead, if you absolutely had to use one of these words, like, they're called front position linking devices. So one thing that would have been good here is if you'd used the word interestingly. That would have been nice because it's not like by contrast. You already talked about by contrast. So if you had used that, I think interestingly would have been good. Interestingly, art and craft is the only leisure activity for which girls outnumber boys. Okay, so that's good. Now, another thing that I want to point out is this. There are approximately twice as many female kids as male kids. Two things here. I really don't like the word kids. It feels really too informal. There is debate about whether you should use the word kids or not. In general, I don't prefer it. I think it's safer just to use children. Okay. So that's one thing. But more importantly, you talked about twice as many. We don't know that. Okay. And let me tell you why. Because we're dealing with percentages here. So all we know is that 50% of the boys, no, I guess the percentages were double. Like the percentages of female were double. But we don't know the number. Does that make sense? So, for example, when you talk about 100% of the boys and 100% of the girls, maybe we're talking about 200 boys and 400 girls. Okay, we don't know the number of the children being recorded here. All right, so talking about there were twice as many is incorrect. All we know is percentages, that 100% of the girls, regardless of the number of girls, and 100% of the boys, regardless of the number. Okay, does that make sense? So careful with using words like outnumber or twice as many girls, because you were basically saying there are twice as many females as males. We have no idea if that's the case. You wanted to say something different here. So whereas over 50% of the girls choose to do this would have been better, under 40% of the boys prefer this. And then you said, and I didn't really know where you got this 50% because this is just under 60. Let's see, it's like 58. And this to me seems to be more like 36 or something like that. So I don't see this really as being 50% of anything. Do you understand what I mean? So I would have gotten rid of this. I don't feel like this sentence helps you. I feel like grammatically, this whole thing with the twice as many, I think it's wrong. I think it's giving inaccurate data. Okay, so I would have gotten rid of this sentence entirely. Okay. And then this for me was fine. I thought that was good. All right. So I think overall you have a very nice task 1 here. I think there are a couple of things that you could have improved, but for the most part, I think it's a really nice attempt. Just a few things that would have really gotten this into one of those like definitely top tier levels for task 1. All right, so let's talk about your task 2 now. In modern life, it is no longer necessary to use animals as food and in other products like clothing and medicines. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this is interesting. You need to talk about 3 different things: food, clothing, medicine, okay? Or let's do it a little differently. Food and in other products, and then they give you examples. So not necessarily 3 things, but you have to talk about 2 for sure: food and in other products. So where else do we use animals? That's what you're gonna have to think about. Let's see what you said. An increasing number of people have been aware of the necessity of protecting animals and the importance of species diversity for the, this is awkward here, the ecology system. Maybe you could have said a different word here. Let me think. The necessity of protecting animals and the importance of species diversity for the ecosystem would have worked better here. As a result, there is a popular belief that animal-based foods and some products should be excluded from our daily life nowadays. As far as I'm concerned, this point of view is fairly one-sided, and I could not agree with it. Okay, so reading this, I'm expecting you to talk in both body paragraphs about why we do need animal products. Let's see if that's what you did. It is undeniable that not all acts of using animals for our human benefit, singular, are reasonable. For example, manufacturing cosmetics and clothing items by utilizing the animals as raw materials should be forbidden. Period. Get rid of this for now. I don't really like this. These products are not indispensable for people's lives, and it is not worth killing wild animals just for the sake of appearance. Period. I don't know what you mean here, appearance, beauty. This is awkward. So just for the sake of appearance, or you know what, just for the sake of beauty, that would have been better. Which, after all, could induce a severe ecological crisis if more creatures become extinct. All right, we're going to talk about this paragraph quite a bit. I have some issues with it, but I don't want to talk about it just yet. Let's get to further down and we'll talk about it more. However, in some certain aspects, the role of animals cannot be replaced by vegetables, fruits, or even all the plants. All right, cannot should be one word. Vegetables, fruits, or even plants, not all the plants, or even plants. If rejecting to eat fish, meat, or some other animals containing abundant proteins, people cannot avoid malnutrition. All right, this sentence grammatically is problematic. I don't understand it, and you've got some errors here, so it's creating some issues. I think I know what you're trying to say, but there's a simpler way of saying it. You want to say, if one refuses to eat animal products, it will be difficult to avoid malnutrition. Okay, so you've got this negative word rejecting, and then you've got cannot avoid. So all of this felt really awkward to me. Okay, all right. Lack of meat-based food would make people feel tired and depressed and even develop serious diseases such as heart disease, which is detrimental to our health physically and mentally. Okay. Some research has demonstrated that proteins from animals are different from those, not that, those, because proteins from plants in terms of the nutrition value and health maintaining. All right, so let's look at these 2 sentences here. You said here, let me correct this. The lack of meat-based food may make people feel tired and depressed. You can't be absolute that it would make them feel. We don't know that. It's possible. So you want to say it may make them, okay? And then here, I said already to you, are different from those of than those from plants in terms of the nutrition value. And this was odd, health maintaining. This is not a collocation. This is not an expression we use. So I need you to change it. In terms of nutrition value and maintaining good health might be better. Besides, more substances like rare vitamins or minerals can only be supplemented by careful. Animal food means food we give to animals. Okay, so this is not what you mean. You mean by animal-based products. Animal-based food products probably would have been the best way to say this. Okay. Another necessary aspect about animal use lies in the medicine development and study. All right, get rid of the word "the" here. You don't need it. For the purpose of researching some disease mechanisms, S, and the corresponding cure, some necessary animal tests or animal-based medicines should be allowed. In the process, we only need to take more consideration of relieving the subject's pain. Okay. In conclusion, I think animal products cannot be separated from human health and progress, and especially essential and are especially essential for medical research and nutrition supplement. I don't like this nutrition supplement. A nutrition supplement is like a vitamin that we take because maybe we're not getting enough of a particular element or like vitamin of some sort. So yeah, not nutrition supplement. You just want to say, especially for medical research and nutrition. Full stop. All right. So there's some good stuff in this essay, but there are definitely some issues that we need to address in order to help you improve. The first thing that I want to talk about is the number of your paragraphs. Typically here at IELTS Podcast, we recommend a 4-paragraph structure where you have an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and 1 conclusion. Here you had 5 paragraphs in total, and I disagree with this for a number of reasons. You ended up having 2 little itty bitty paragraphs. Like this one, literally, it was 3 sentences, and it didn't really feel like a well-developed paragraph. A similar thing happened here. All right. So this is not what you want to do. You want to have each of your body paragraphs be somewhat similar in length. Okay. This way, the examiner can say, yes, you covered all parts of the task equally. Okay. So that's one thing. But I found a more serious problem here, and you may have picked up on it when I read your introduction and I said, okay, well, having read this, this is what I expect to read in your body paragraphs. Let's look at it again. You said that this point of view is one-sided, and I could not agree with it. So when I read that, I said, oh, okay, so here we're going to read about why animal products are absolutely necessary. We need to use them for clothing, for food, and etc., whatever. However, your first body paragraph had this. Now, generally, I do agree that it's good to talk about the other side and talk about it first. I agree with that. However, there was absolutely nothing in your introduction that led us to believe you were going to have this. This is called a concession paragraph. If you wanted to include a concession paragraph, you needed to mention it in your introduction. Otherwise, it's coming out from left field. We have no idea why it's here, and we're quite frankly surprised that it's included. Okay? So what you could have said, if you really wanted to have this paragraph, is, as far as I am concerned, while there is some merit to this point of view, on the whole, I cannot agree with it. That would have made sense because you're allowing this kind of leeway, this loophole for an alternative perspective to be analyzed. So if you had said that in this sentence here, in your thesis statement, then I would have been okay with this paragraph. However, when you seem pretty absolute about this, having this paragraph makes no sense. And that's going to affect your coherence and cohesion score because it doesn't feel like a cohesive essay. Okay? So what I would have done in your position is I would have left this. I would have taken this paragraph completely out. All right. And instead, I would have developed this paragraph much more. Okay. Because then you have 2 paragraphs which talk about how animal products cannot be replaced. However, this definitely needed more development. You only talked about medicine, okay, and how we absolutely need to test medicines on animals. Maybe you could have talked about other things, like maybe you could have talked about how we need animals for footwear, or maybe we need them, for wool or fur or, whatever. And then you can justify it like, I don't know, to date, no material has proven to be as warm or something as cashmere, which comes from the fur of special sheep, or I don't know, something like that. So you could have talked about that, but this paragraph absolutely needed more development. All right, so that's what I would have done. Like I said, because you didn't explain that you were going to address the other side of you, you should have left this out. And instead, you should have focused on having two well-developed paragraphs. This paragraph on its own is not developed enough. In fact, all you have to do is look at the lengths of the paragraphs to see that. You can see that this paragraph is half the size of this. All right, so it doesn't feel well developed, and an examiner is going to pick up on that. All right, and then it's going to be very hard to get, say, for example, a 7 for task achievement. So while there were some good things here, I thought there were some things that absolutely should be fixed, should be improved, and I would love to help you improve them. So take a look in your email from us about the different ways we can collaborate, and let's see if we can help you get to the score you need. I would love to hear more about what it is you're hoping to do, what score you need, so that we can help you get there. Okay? Thanks for submitting this set of essays, and I look forward to working with you soon.